Go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Here we are. We're live. We're live. Go for it. Go for it. Dramatis Personae. Dramatis Personae. All right. And
lemon face. Ooh.
Lion
face.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Star Trek DS9, Season 1, Episode 18, Dramatis Personae is over and has been for a long time, actually since May 30th of 1993. But we're just getting started here tonight on Live Long and Podcast. I'm Dave Mader, joined by Jeff Mader and Jaemeel Robinson and Kevin and Ashley Millard. We're all here as we continue our 3.5-year journey to talk about Star Trek DS9 episode by episode, piece by piece. And we are nearing the end of Season 1 here, and we're here to talk about the 18th episode, which is Dramatis Personae. Okay, so I kind of alluded to who's all here. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Jaemeel, how are you doing tonight?
I'm awesome. It's awesome.
Okay. Hey,
It's awesome.
I'm glad to hear. And Kevin and Ashley Millard, how are you?
Good.
Good. Okay. So, this was quite the ride, I thought, overall. Quite an interesting episode and a different thing for this particular cast in some ways, I think. But very Star Trek classic kind of TNG kind of episode. So how did everyone enjoy it? Let's start with Kevin and Ashley.
It's not my favorite one of season 1, but it was okay.
It's kind of, it is. It's not, I don't hate it. I don't love it. It just is.
It's no game of Chula.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No game of Chula.
Some good bits.
Yeah. It's an interesting premise, but it does kind of fall flat for me.
Okay. So, Jaemeel, over to you. What was your take on Dramatis Personae?
I like the episode. Actually, I was surprised at how much I like the episode. It gets going, and I found myself really, really just getting wrapped up with the show, the episode. So
I felt like I was watching an episode of Oz. The episode might as well have started with
Are you questioning the validity of my plan? Yeah. Okay. So the premise of the episode is that a Klingon ship comes back through the wormhole, unannounced, like ahead of schedule. It blows up as soon as it comes through the wormhole. One Klingon officer materializes on the deck and dies pretty much right away, saying victory. But in the process, he infects everybody on the station, save for maybe Odo, with this disease, this mental, like this telepathic imprint, if you will, of possibly of a past plot or society, where each of the main characters are sort of playing a role in this sort of conspiracy. And it's kind of sparked by what was kind of already happening, which was this whole Valerian freighter was coming, and Kira and the Bajorans don't like the Valerians because they supplied the Cardassians with weapons, and so but Sisko's like, no, you have to do due process and respect their rights and all these other things. So there's that, but that gets like amplified through a magnifying glass in this episode. And then so the sides kind of get divided. You get, except Quark, is he also unaffected by this? He doesn't seem affected, right?
unaffected.
Yeah.
It's only the people that were in ops.
Yeah.
Only the people in ops were infected. Okay, and they don't spread it onto other people.
I guess not.
Doesn't seem to be, no.
Yeah.
Well, they say it's all the people in ops, but Odo wasn't in ops,
Right.
and wasn't Bashir in his?
Bashir was in ops, but
Was he in ops?
he was in ops when he was there. He examined the
Yes.
Klingon when he was dying.
Yes,
Yeah,
you're
he was
right.
there. Yeah.
So why did Odo have an effect?
Well, Quark wasn't there, right? Quark wasn't in the ops. But Quark wouldn't have been. He wouldn't have been affected. But okay, so was there?
Odo was in ops. He was at the beginning of the episode.
He is there.
He hands a pad to Kira at the beginning of the episode.
Okay, so he happened to be in ops, but he normally is not there. Okay, that's okay. So that's why he rejects it. You see his changeling matrix go, we don't like this, and then he's pretty much fine, right? Like his immune system kills it.
Well, I mean, the doctor was a huge help. He goes, I literally don't understand anything about your anatomy, so I mean, do you feel better? All right, good. See you later.
Another classic Bashir. Another, or do you think we're supposed to do something?
Yeah. What a great doctor.
Talent, I suppose.
You might be okay, or it might happen again. I don't know.
I'm keeping for observation, so. You know, just holler if there's another issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right
No.
here. You know, just a few corridors down. So
Well, I thought it was interesting the roles they were playing. So basically, the two sides are Kira versus Cisco, and on Cisco's team, it's O'Brien and
Dax,
sort of Dax, but the effect on her is kind of interesting because she's kind of airhead. She's kind of like
Yeah, she gets kind of silly.
right. She's kind of dumb. She's kind of like she's kind of like the swing vote if this was a Survivor tribe and they were trying what the alliances are. And then Kira and sort of I thought Bashir, but Bashir turns out to be more of this neutral kind of. He's just kind of watching from the sidelines, eating popcorn.
Be in it for himself. That's how Odo gets him to do it, to solve the problem. Is Bashir isn't really on a side. He's in it for himself. He wants all the power for himself.
Yeah, he's opportunistic.
Yes.
And so Odo is able to use that motivation to sort of get Bashir to actually do his job. Because the knowledge is in his mind on how to solve this crisis, but Bashir doesn't recognize that there is a problem. The problem is all the senior officers, save for Odo, do not. And so this is the episode where Odo has to save the day. It is an ensemble episode, but it really is an Odo-focused episode. Yet another one. More Odo and Quark banter. I like, and so Quark hears Kira conspiring against Cisco. And so throws him very violently against the bar in front of everybody and says, "I got a problem," and then he comes in the neck brace right away. I want to press charges.
Like I said, it was an episode of Oz. We had our two gangs. We had a gang on one side. All we needed was a good shanking at some point, and that would have been
Give O'Brien a
par for the
chance.
course. Yeah,
He would have got some shanking going on.
Some shanking going on. My personal favorite performance in this episode is probably Avery Brooks. And his his madness as this like super villain who's got O'Brien as sort of his henchman and is his like wheeler dealer, like, and he, because you think that Cisco just can't be bothered to do anything, and he's kind of like affected like Dax is kind of airhead, but it's more than that. He's more like he's more like that a holodeck character he'll play later on, the Dr. Noah whatever.
Yeah.
He's more of like, I could show you, I could be the villain of the story, right? And he's building a clock the whole time. And at the end, they're like, "Why'd you build that?" He's like, "I have no idea, but I have a clock now, and it does some fun things." And so,
I think this is one of our first looks at Avery Brooks's overacting, like his kind of craziness.
yes, right.
This is the first glimpse of it in the series.
You get like crazed Mr. Burns. Was it trapped in his own little office, playing with his spruce moose, and then all of a sudden he snaps into supervillain mode. It's like, I'm gonna kill her. I'm gonna kill Kira. It's like, whoa, where did that come from? He let loose the hawk in this episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little bit. Got a little bit of the hawk.
Yeah, a man named Hawk,
Yeah.
or that's what it was, right?
He was
Yeah,
so
like
hot.
I enjoyed that. Just his like when he goes never, right? When,
Yeah.
like that whole moment where he's like never. He's like, oh yeah, Brian's like, we have to leave the station. He's like, I'll never surrender.
One of my favorites is when he's like, is this how it ends? That's like he claps his hands and it's crazy.
She's
love
like,
it.
for you, and like, yeah, like I like that dynamic. I think it does a bit to establish the Cisco versus Kira just energies, right? Like, even though they're not kind of acting rationally, they're kind of just how they kind of both can kind of go head to head with each other sometimes. It's of the captain first officer relationships throughout the different Star Trek series. Cisco and Kira is an interesting one. It's like when you even compare them to like those two to like Chakotay and Janeway, who typically got along but would spar on a few remote occasions. Whereas I feel like early on it was definitely like Sisko versus Kira way more, and then later, and that changes as the show goes on quite a bit. I think kind of flips 180 really. Okay, so Dramatis Personae. Did anybody notice that Avery Brooks takes off his comm badge, right? Right, and with O'Brien when they're trying to escape into the cargo bay for the end scene, and then suddenly when they open up the doors to suck out the telepathic thing that's been infecting them all, you see that he's holding on to this thing just to not get sucked out, right, by the vacuum, and his comm badge is back on, but then when it flips back to him, it's off again.
That's a goof.
It's a goof.
Huh.
Why did that happen?
Didn't notice that at all.
This is like that time.
Dave pays special attention to the uniforms. We know this.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
or as we all like to call them, the outfits.
Outfits.
The outfit.
Costumes is acceptable.
They're jumpsuits. I mean, at the end of the day.
The cast called them spacesuits.
They do.
Right. Yeah. Well, like, why would that happen? It's just like I just think these interesting on-set issues happen sometimes with Avery Brooks too, where you won't like everyone had to drink of that orange liquid in the Move Along Home episode, right?
Yeah.
But then his is like orange glass with clear liquid in it.
Right,
Why-
because he was drinking in the gourd.
So why not just get everybody else to drink from the same glasses with the clear liquid? It doesn't need to be orange liquid for the scene to work. But it's like, so there's just things that scratch my brain, you know?
When you're the hawk, you don't drink out of the same water as pigeons. You gotta.
No, you prove that in Move Along Home. Everybody else had to drink that orange liquid, whereas Hawk got his orange glass. So I'm guessing it was just water.
Yeah, he's like, no one will to tell. And then they were like, hey, you got to take that comm badge off. You're not supposed to have it. He's like, whatever, just hit action. Let's go. Let's get out of here.
I don't think it would be a surprise. I don't think this episode would have really inspired his imagination, Avery Brooks, other than the overacting. But like the overall story of the episode is kind of like,
Right. Hey, Avery, we need you to get the shot again where you're holding on to the cargo bay. And he's like, whatever, but I'm not.
I'm not taking off my comm badge.
Yeah, comm badge stays on. Is that what happened?
That's exactly what happened.
O'Brien stays off for that scene.
It's as good a premise as any.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
O'Brien playing the goon was also very awesome. The henchman.
O'Brien, yeah, I just think, and it kind of plays into his Falcon character, holodeck character that he'll play later on too, in like the Bashir Bond stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
I just think that there's some interesting premises here. But yeah, like, okay, to the earlier points, as far as season 1 episodes go, definitely not the best. I am kind of looking down the road to next week already, which is a big episode for me, which is called Duet. But as far as this one goes, I think it would serve better as a radio theater episode for us than it would for anything for its kind of rewatch value. I was kind of watching it through that lens, and I was like, it'd be fun to play this. And by the way, I watched Shore Leave earlier, which we're going to be covering tomorrow on the Ted Trek rewatch, and I was like, oh my god, this Shore Leave episode is perfect for that. You know, just like crazy, wacky characters. Kind of the spiritual predecessor to If Wishes Were Horses, which was an episode we covered here on Deep Space Nine a few weeks ago. You know, just kind of weird, wacky, imaginative things kind of popping up in front of you. I think TNG had a very similar episode too, right? Where imagination was sort of becoming real, maybe with the Traveler or something. Anyway, so it's something. Yeah, it's something that like Star Trek in general does a lot, and I think that those kind of episodes would serve our medium well in that way. And they're sort of fun episodes to kind of watch. Like I'm kind of getting different things out of Star Trek episodes now as we go through the process. We're watching the movies, and even as we're covering the current shows and everything in between, it's kind of given me, and you know, I don't know if you agree, but sort of like this connection to all the shows, all the time, and all the time periods, and what I want to kind of get out of those stories, especially the ones I've seen. Like this, I've probably seen 10 times in my life. This episode, but I enjoyed it.
I do too. I found that it isn't like the most amazing of stories or anything like that. We kind of know how this is going to play out, but getting there was enjoyable. Seeing the different characters kind of, act in a different way. Uh, that portion of it was interesting. The story itself was just complete, unnecessary garbage for the most part. It was just a means to the end for them to act that certain way.
Yeah,
right?
it was like a warm up for the mirror universe. That's what I look at. It's like batting practice for the mirror universe. That's what this is.
I liked Odo, the whole like Odo thing, the way he solves the problem and he tricks everybody. That was good.
Although like very unrealistic. Like then, like you really think Cisco just holding onto that box would be enough to handle a decompression into space? Like no, like it's a little ridiculous.
With or without his comm badge, it won't. It's not going to matter.
They'd all get sucked out. They'd all be dead. End of show. See you later.
Wouldn't you want to like transport out of that area? Just transport out. Keep that thing locked inside there, and they can. And
would have made more sense. Yes.
Yeah, studied it, right? They just put like was it artificial intelligence into their computer and gave it a little sandbox. This one, now we're just
suck it into space.
Suck it into space. It doesn't matter. Nah. It's like Brian's like, I already got a pet. I can't get another one.
Kinda, yeah. I don't disagree, but like this is the D Space Nine ensemble trying to have their version of a bottle episode, right? Because you could see this story being given to certainly Next Gen or Voyager or Enterprise. You could see this story sort of working in any of those shows. Yeah, in original series, any of the Star Treks.
Not Enterprise.
Maybe not Enterprise. Well, Mirror Enterprise.
I don't think any of the stories worked in Enterprise.
The premise was bad, and that was baked in from the start. If your mileage may vary on prequels. I'm not always big on the prequels, but that's neither here nor there. We're talking about Deep Space Nine, Dramatis Personae, and yeah.
I'm gonna do it every time. You say it, I do it.
All right, like Jeff, you want to give us some fun facts on this episode?
Let me pull them up. I don't know how much fun you guys had with this episode, but
while Jeff is pulling it up, I can mention that once again, Bashir seems to have gone back to trusting the tricorder, because remember before he said he don't trust them, and then he was super slow in putting the Klingon into stasis. He just had to hear the Klingon do his last gas. He's like, "We got to put him into cryostasis immediately." What did you say? Oh, he's dead. Too late.
Yeah, I like sort of how things play out, but like in terms of rewatch value, I don't know how strong it is, but it's fun. It's fun.
Okay,
we'll see.
So, a few fun facts here. Okay. Fun facts. Dramatis Personae, the title of the episode. Do you guys know what that means?
No.
Yes, I do.
What does it mean, Jaemeel?
The characters of a play, novel, or narrative.
Right. It's a Latin phrase meaning the masks of drama. So, I guess...
So it's like they're putting on a play.
It's like they're putting on a play and they're putting on masks. Like, it probably would work really well for radio theater. During the filming of this episode, Nana Visitor slipped on a wet stairway and hurt her back. While Visitor wanted to film her scenes as usual, Rick Berman urged her to go to a hospital. So there's a fun fact for you. The Sultana clock that Cisco builds in this episode is seen in the background of his office in many episodes after this. So we'll have to keep an eye out for the Sultana clock.
They eventually sold that at auction for tens of thousands of dollars.
That's
really
hilarious.
Yes.
For that, like this thing that he made when he was going out of his mind in like a season 1 episode no one remembers.
Because I was wondering if they made a replica of it, and I want it, but they don't.
They don't. But they did sell the original one at auction.
That's awesome. That's not in the fun fact. So Ashley contributing to the fun fact.
That's an Ashley fun fact.
Actually, fun fact.
Gotta
The
update.
That was like her riffing. That was like her riffing off your fun fact with a whole different fun fact.
I just had to just a PS on Jeff's fun fact.
I'm playing lead guitar, but every now and then we need some rhythm. Director Cliff Bull says of Avery Brooks's performance in this episode, the public didn't know the extent of his abilities for a long time. This man is awesome. Quote, end quote. The real reason writer Joe Minosky had Sisko making a clock was to try to convey to the audience that he'd become an obsessively quirky Emperor Rudolph type who fussed about the mechanical bits and pieces.
Yeah, he's like almost like a Howard Hughes or something. Like he's yeah,
Right.
It's just great.
The working title of this episode was Ritual Sacrifice.
God, thank God they changed it.
Glad they didn't go with that one.
Yeah.
This episode is a favorite of Ira Stephen Bear. Okay.
Of course it is.
Ira Stephen Bear, not everything he did was great, or not every decision he made with the show was great, but most of his ideas were good. So.
This is one of 9 Star Trek episodes, not 7 of 9, to have a Latin title. The others are Star Trek The Next Generation, Sub Rosa, Star Trek Voyager.
Okay, pause there. Let's just look at all the episodes with Latin names and see how many of them are good. Like really good. Like
Rasa?
Sub Rosa from Next Gen.
no.
Ex Post Facto, Star Trek Voyager.
Which is? What's that?
That is the episode where Tuvok plays a detective when Paris is wrongfully convicted of murder.
Not good.
With the words at the bottom of him
Yes.
leaving. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Not a great episode. It's fine.
Right.
Keep going.
Star Trek Voyager, Non Sequitur. Harry Kim wakes up in San Francisco having never been assigned to Voyager, which Starfleet considers a loss.
It's a Harry Kim episode, so it's automatically not great.
bad. Yeah.
But it's probably the best Harry Kim episode, and that's not.
No, Timeless is the best Harry Kim episode.
Oh yeah. Okay. Aside from that,
Yeah, Harry Kim too.
Star Trek Voyager Alter Ego. Ensign Kim and Lieutenant Tuvok become rivals in love over what at first seems to be a holodeck character.
Of course.
that's not a good one either. Oh, every episode with a Latin name, it's a dead giveaway. It's not going to be good because there's some kind of
Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Inter Arma Enim Silent Leges.
that is a good one. I know that one. That's like the one example. That might be the exception that proves the rule.
That's the one where, while making plans to attend a medical conference on the Romulan homeworld, Dr. Bashir is contacted by Sloan of Section 31. And
Okay, don't. Ashley has not seen that yet, so don't get into it all. But
I'm not going to get into it. Just telling you what
It's
that
actually
episode was.
Sloan from Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, he was also in Die Hard 2.
Die Hard 2, he's Colonel Stewart.
Yeah. Enterprise, Terra Nova. Enterprise tries to find out what happened on Terra
no,
Nova.
okay, like these are all bad, and then a whole bunch of I think Discovery episodes have a bunch of names like this, right?
There's one more Enterprise, Vox Sola, which is a fibrous web-like alien creature comes aboard the ship, and several of the crew become entangled in it, including Archer and Trip.
I've never seen
She's the only way who could try to communicate with the creature.
Of course.
And then there is one Star Trek Discovery episode that has a Latin title, Si Vis Pacem Parabellum. This is the episode where the USS Discovery is tasked with a high-priority mission to the planet Pavo and learn the science behind the Klingons' cloaking technology.
That's not a good one either. That's the one where Saru's running around like a deer. Like
Oh yeah, that one sucks.
Gonna clearly state that it sucked.
So yeah, I think that okay, it's not a good thing if you have sort of this Latin name that doesn't have a direct meaning. It's kind of like the writer's winking at you, and you have to look up what this means, and then what was the metaphor, and how does that connect to how they adapted the story. It's
clever.
It's not. Yeah.
They cracked open a book and here it is. Latin.
Yeah, not great. I don't think. Not the best.
It's like they finish it off and they're like, this episode kind of sucks. Let's at least give it an interesting name.
I think that's what they do.
It could have been worse though. That other title was pretty terrible.
Yeah, the other title was much worse.
Yes.
This episode isn't bad. The two Deep Space Nine ones are. This one's not bad, and then the Sloan one is good.
Slow.
Yeah, they all suck except the Section 31 one. But yeah, if you see a Latin title, it's probably because they had a name like Ritual Sacrifice.
What does that mean? What does that mean? It means nothing in terms of. It's as bad as The Forsaken, last episode's title.
Yeah,
Right. Like that was all. Like some of these titles in the first season. Like I don't know where they're getting them, but
Yeah.
this one has a better. Okay, so let's get our ratings in on this because I want to quantify exactly because we're like it's okay, it's good. There was some parts I like, but not really. It wasn't sort of wowing anybody. And not every episode of Star Trek does, and so let's just get a sense there. So I'm going to bring this in. Boom, boom, and boom. All right. So this has a 7.1 on IMDb. If we just want sort of a check there, maybe let's start with the Kevin and Ashley. Do you have a rating respectively for this episode?
I'll give it a 5. Like I said at the beginning, it's not bad. It's not good. Just is.
I give it 6.
Okay, Jaemeel, how do you feel about this episode?
I do like this episode, but it's no move along home, so it gets a 6.
Season 1, yeah.
Jeff?
I'm gonna give it a 4.
4. Wow. All right.
Usually I'm the harsh one.
I give this a 7. I think it's a solid. B minus sort of thing. No, not bad. So that averages out, if you're listening, to a 5.6 overall from the group, and compared, all the IMDb ratings, I'm starting to think that they even have value because they're all kind of the same. I think if anybody's gone out of their way to rate a Deep Space Nine episode on IMDb, it's probably going to be decent rating. Maybe there are some exceptions, but yeah. So next week, I kind of alluded to it already, is going to be the episode called Duet, which I think is my personal favorite episode of Deep Space Nine, probably. And that's saying a lot because I love a lot of the later episodes, but it's definitely my favorite first season episode, and it's possibly in the top 3 of all Deep Space Nine episodes for me. So just because the guest star who plays the Cardassian, who's part of this next story, I think he's particularly strong. And Nana Visitor in the role of Kira Nerys is very, very great opposite. And some great supporting performances, in particular, I think Avery Brooks too. So I'm excited to watch that again. I've seen it more times than I've seen Dramatis Personae, and I would really recommend tuning in for our podcast and review of that one because I think there's going to be a lot of passion in for that one, at least from my side.
Passion.
Yeah.
Dave's going to be very passionate.
I do agree with you. It is a very good episode of Deep Space Nine.
I haven't seen it in a while, so hopefully I don't crap on it.
I hope so. I hope not. But hey, I don't want to taint anything. I want everyone to come in objectively, or as objectively as possible. I know it's all a subjective thing, but that's going to be this next one. But to the point, Dramatis Personae, it only took us about half an hour to really break this down and talk about what we liked and didn't like, and
That's why you got a 4 for me.
Not much really happens, and none of it really matters.
Yeah.
That's
right.
The setup of the episode is basically like a minute and change.
Yeah.
There's a ship docking in. I'm angry about it. Cisco, let's see what happens. Credits. Right? That's what it
for
felt
sure.
like.
Yeah, it's exactly the episode doesn't really other than it's the acting Olympics, and if you want to watch it for the acting, that's great. But overall, the story is like a whatever story, and like you said, Dave, it could have easily been interchanged in any of the Star Trek shows. It kind of ends in a silly way. Let's be honest here, guys. I mean, so like for me, it's just like it doesn't really compare. Like I can't give this like a passing grade for me because it's just not as good as some of the other episodes. The other episodes deserve those higher grades.
Like Move Along Home,
Like Move Along Home got a 5, so it was a 1 point better.
6.5 from me.
You gotta get the obligatory in there. The sticks, yes. Speaking of which, tune in. Well, I'm gonna go right to Star Trek Radio Theater this Saturday night, so I'm gonna go skipping ahead. We are going to be doing a Star Trek Voyager episode called Worst Case Scenario. And we're going to have a slightly larger cast again this week as we bring back Michael Chan, and his wife Jessica Chan is joining us as well. So Kevin Millard here starring as Tom Paris, and a few other there's a few other characters, a non-speaking character or sort of not on camera. Not they'll speak, not on camera characters that aren't necessarily shown here because they're not even shown in the episode. But there's people who, like, I know Kevin, you have another voice that you're doing as one of the, but it's over the comm and there's no picture. And it was you're playing a hologram of a dead guy, so it's a holographic voice of a dead guy. So that's your motivation. But check that out. We're going to be that's the one with the Maquis. It's kind of a Maquis mutiny holodeck story. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, here on Live Long.
Love child there. Oh no, it's moved. Oh, there it's back.
Yeah. So which one are you looking for?
No. Nothing. When your picture was gone, it just looked funny. The background picture looked like O'Brien was Worf and Worf and Sisko's love child.
Oh, okay. Let's to think about that one.
Picture that.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm gonna not think about that one then. Okay.
Who's the bottom? That's the real question.
Yeah, I thought we're not thinking about this anymore. So,
How did your love child end up a white Irish guy?
Like I said,
again.
think about it.
Also, here on Live Long and Podcast, tomorrow night we will be covering Star Trek: The Original Series, an episode called Shore Leave from the first season, which is kind of a pleasure planet that may or may not be trying to kill the crew of the Starship Enterprise. So check that out. And nothing really happens either, but I watched it tonight, and it's fun. So I'm excited to break that down tomorrow. Jeff, are you gonna be on that one?
I like that episode.
Yeah, I should be. Yep.
Shore Leave tomorrow night. We're doing that at 6:00, by the way. As we have to also get to Big Brother tomorrow night, as on Super Mater Brothers Podcasting, we will be covering the veto episode for the first week and seeing how that plays out. So if you haven't checked Big Brother out yet, Big Brother USA specific 22 All Stars, check our coverage over at Super Mater Brothers Podcasting. Jeff and I, and sometimes Jaemeel. Well, at least he's batting 500 right so far, the 2 episodes we've done. So looking forward to doing that. And Thursdays, what are we doing Thursdays? Well, again, Big Brother, because we're gonna have probably the eviction episode. And
Friday Lower Decks or Thursday?
Friday. Oh, sorry. And Thursday is also Lower Decks. So we're gonna have to figure out how we're doing Big Brother and Lower Decks on Thursday. But we did the first episode of Lower Decks this past week. It was called Second Contact. Millard, have you still not seen?
No.
I want to talk to you about it. You gotta watch it.
All right, we'll watch it.
I
we'll
guess.
We'll have to get the
Just a night
episode
more.
legally.
I could get it. Okay, I won't say this on there, but like, there's ways. But you can also.
Listen,
Yeah,
we have ways.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. I was being sarcastic.
Don't worry.
There's this thing where you can like.
Calling, Dave. They're delaying.
It allows you to watch shows.
Yeah, there's
Like a gift certificate to CBS All Access.
yes, a gift certificate, all liable, abiding and completely legal. No, we don't support
trial.
this. Yeah.
Free trial.
Free trial.
As long as you sign up for a few months.
Yeah, wow, so many shows, and it's only a couple months. We'll be talking about Star Trek Discovery season 3 as we're assembling our crew.
I'll tell you right now, Dave. I won't be watching that one at all.
I know.
I still have to finish season 2. I still haven't finished it.
It's a hard watch. You know,
A puppy who lost his way.
I still have to finish episode 1. So
Oh, I can watch even if it's bad Star Trek. I can usually watch it. Like I don't like a really bad, like a Sub Rosa, whatever. But as like there were certain things that were really bugging me. There were things I liked about Discovery. Anyway, this isn't a Discovery podcast. It's just
Jeez, yeah, don't bring in that nonsense into my DS9 podcast because it's not a good show. Even when we have a bad show, I give it a 4. But every episode of Discovery, after about the first few, would get a 1 from me. Once they did the Spock sister thing, you're done.
it was one thing. It was one thing when they just talked about it off camera. It was another thing to see it on screen. So
once they made it a reality,
They get a 1 for the font. That's it.
yeah.
And for the font, -10, I'd say. You're lucky we even say your name aloud, Discovery. But no, I am going to be going Michael Chan and others. I'm going to try to be enthusiastic about Discovery because
Michael Chan could be like the enthusiastic. He's like 10s across the board.
I'll get Tyrone in here. There will be others, people who love Discovery. We'll talk about it. Even Rich is much more forgiving on Discovery than perhaps.
There you go.
Jet.
Looks like you got a new crew for a podcast.
A new crew, a Discovery crew, where we're going to wear these blue uniforms with just weird pipes, and it doesn't matter. It's not a Discovery podcast. We're this Deep Space Nine. We're with
I'll watch
Golden
the podcast.
Age.
I won't watch the show though.
You should watch the podcast just to listen to it, like see if what our energy is. Like 5 minutes, at least check that out.
So yeah, all the people that hate Discovery, this is the perfect when that show starts airing here on Live Long and Podcast. It's the perfect show to watch because you get all the details of the show without having to, stick your foot in the mud. So
Yeah, I'll tell you what happened. Whether you want to know, well, I guess you'd have to want to know to listen, right? But like whether I liked it or not, we will break it down.
I would rather listen to you tell me about the show than watch the show.
Yeah, me too.
all right.
So take that out. Okay, everybody. So any final words before we go off the air?
Nope.
No.
Just that Deep Space Nine is a real Star Trek show with real characters and real stakes, and that it's
Yeah, just like this episode, Dramatis Personae.
this episode was not their best.
No episode of Discovery could size up to this.
I would rather watch this episode 10 times than watch any episode of Star Trek Discovery Season 2.
I don't disagree, but like technically speaking, there are episodes of Discovery that are technically better than this one. Like in terms of effects, even writing and dialogue, and maybe even performance in some ways, if you can quantify that objectively, as much as possible. But I would still rather watch this, and that's that intangible thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can't explain. Yep.
Okay. It's better than
All
the
right.
Umbrella Company.
That's it. I think
All right, everybody. See you. Live long in podcast. See you next time.